Hi, welcome to the next edition of the Houck Report. What we're going to talk about today is active shooter incidents in malls. Within the last year, we've had two specific incidents, and I think being aware on how to conduct yourself in the event something like this happens, we'll be able to give you some tips on how to survive an incident. I've been studying active shooter incidents for 10 years, and I also develop programs for different companies. And I have different lectures about active shooter incidents, so if you're aware or need anything like that, you can just contact me. But basically we're staying here with how to react in the event there's an incident when you're at the mall. How to protect yourself and your family. And the best way to be able to do that is, number one, is being prepared for an incident to occur, all right, and be aware of your surroundings. These are two very important things. You have to know that the first 2 to 6 minutes are the most deadliest time of an active shooter attack. And why is that? Basically because that's the time it takes for the police to be able to respond and confront the shooter. Depending on where you live, it could be as much as 10 minutes. Depends on exactly where the mall is. And when the police respond, are they going to wait for other police officers to respond, then go into the mall? So basically for the first couple of minutes, you're basically on your own, unless the mall that you're at has got a protocol developed on how to confront the shooter. Meaning, if there's any armed security in that mall, they're supposed to confront the shooter. If not, you're on your own for 2 to 6 minutes, at least, at the very least. So one of the first things you need to know, all right, is once the police respond, all right, their priority is to take that shooter out. Okay? It's not the injured, and it's not getting you out of the mall. It's going after the shooter and taking him out. Of course, some people will be evacuated right away, but, you know, if you're sitting there wondering what the police are doing when they're all around you, it's because they're looking for that shooter. All right? So that's very, very important. And you should make sure that you follow the instructions of the police. So if the police are anywhere near you when they're evacuating you, or they're anywhere, you know, in the area, make sure you have your hands up. You know, keep your hands up so the police can see that you are not the shooter. Now, we know you're the good guy, but the police don't know you're a good guy. All right? You know, they're completely in the dark. So they're going to be very, very careful on everybody that they deal with at mall. So if you get somehow treated like you might be a suspect, that's going to happen. All right? That's going to happen. They don't know who you are. Okay? So don't get upset about that. All right, so I just want to clear that up first. On average, an active shooter incident lasts about 10 to 15 minutes. That's basically it. A lot of times a shooter, once they hear the police responding, or the police respond, they'll shoot themselves. But you never know what could happen. All right? Now, you only have 3 options when you're at a mall, or in any active shooter incident. All right? You need to either evacuate, hide, or confront the shooter yourself. Those are your 3 options. All right? Of course, evacuate's probably your best bet, if you can do it. All right? Now, what I suggest, and I'm telling you exactly what I would do in the event something like this happened to me in the mall if I'm not armed. If I was armed, I'd take the shooter on. If I'm not armed, I'm going to do the same exact thing here. When you hear shots, what you need to do is hit the deck right away. Why hit the deck right away and not just run? Because number one, you don't know where the bullets are coming from. All right? You might run towards the shooter, all right, putting yourself in more danger. So basically what we want you to do is hit the deck right away and assess the situation. Try and provide yourself with some concealment or some cover. What's the difference? All right, there is a difference. Cover means, if you find yourself some cover, that means it stops the bullets from hitting you, like you're behind a wall, or you're behind a metal wall, or a column, or something like that. Something that will stop the bullets from coming through and getting to you. That's what cover is. All right? Then there's concealment. Something that will conceal you from the bad guys. In other words, he can't see you. So if the bad guy can't see you, he can't shoot at you. All right? So concealment, try and find yourself some cover right away, but if not, conceal yourself. There are many areas inside a mall where you can conceal yourself. All right, and stay behind something and look around, check out the area, see where the shooter is. All right. Once you know where the shooter is or where people are running away from, watch where the people are running away from, because they're usually running away from the shooter. Head in the same direction as them as you can, okay? But stay low to the ground, all right, and try and find an exit. If there's an exit close by, make for that exit. Make sure, though, there's no shooter in your way, all right? Now, remember, there could always be a second shooter or a third shooter, so you don't know that. So even if you make your way outside into the parking lot, make your way to the cars to conceal yourself and cover yourself from potential fire, all right? And walk and go in between the cars, all right? If you spot the police, put your hands up and approach the police, all right? It's very that easy, all right? So now what we do is we've got you escaping, and that's if you can escape. A lot of times you might be trapped in an area, and now what you have to do is basically hide yourself, all right? Now, what happens is if malls have a lockdown procedure, you'll see the gates coming down. You know, there's gates in malls, especially when you see them closing, they have these gates coming down. If you see gates coming down, try to make yourself and you and your family into one of these stores. And yeah, also, very importantly, turn your cell phone sound off, and ladies, take off your heels, all right, because it's going to prevent you from being able to run as fast as you want. And also, forget your packages, all right? Just leave them. All right, get you, yourself, your family out of there. So if you can make yourself get into one of the stores where the gates are coming down, once they're down, you're pretty safe. And you conceal yourself inside the store, all right? Past active shooter events, all right, have revealed that most active shooters won't try and go through, you know, locked doors. They'll just move to an easier target because they know they have a limited amount of time before the police get there and take them out. So they'll just move on. In all cases, I can't tell you 100%, but from what I've learned in the past, that Connecticut school shooting where the children were shot, that shooter tried to get in a couple of locations, and the doors were locked, and he just kept on going on, moving on to another location. So in a mall, for the bad guy, is always an easier target. All right, so be careful of that. Let's see here. What else I got? Stay away from elevators and escalators. The last thing you want to do when you're trying to escape is get on an elevator, because if you do, and then you make your way to the ground floor, you know, a smart active shooter might be standing there waiting for the elevator door to open, and then you're trapped and there's nothing you can do. All right. Same with escalators. Try and try not to use those also. Try and avoid them as much as possible. So you've got several different places you might be able to hide. If you can't get into one of the stores when the barriers are coming down, you got the bathrooms, you got closets, but you have to be able to lock those. Don't run into a bathroom where there's no lock or you can't barricade the door. All right, because then you'll be just trapped inside. All right. Once you find a place to hide, remain very quiet. Very, very quiet. If you have kids, you play a quiet game with the kids so they don't say nothing. Make sure your cell phone is turned off. The sound is turned off on it because it'll give you position away. Be very careful. So, you know, play a game with your kids and you know, to keep them quiet as possible. And then don't come out until you know the police have secured the area. Now, your last resort, if you're discovered, is taking on the shooter. Now this is this is something you've got to come up, there's a decision that you've got to be able to make. You know, your life is in danger here. If you are the shooter, you're going to have to go after him. You know, unless you're going to sit there and let him shoot you. I suggest that you've got to turn on the animal in you and attack the shooter. If you are with a couple of people, the best thing to do is get a couple of people together to attack the shooter with you. Find some kind of a weapon. Go after his throat, go after his head, go after his knees, go after his groin or something like that. This is a last resort. We don't want you doing this first. Make sure if you can evacuate, safely evacuate. All right? If you can hide safely, hide safely. All right? And look for people to help you. There'll be plenty of people around in the mall to help you. Okay? Now, one of the best things I tell people to do is that, you know, next time that you go to a mall, people usually go to the same malls all the time. Walk around the mall when you're there and start looking at the area become aware of it and say to yourself, if somebody started shooting right now, exactly what would I do? See, if you're prepared, if you know exactly how to act when something like this happens, all right, the chances of you panicking when it does go down significantly, all right, because you know how to react. Just like when we're kids, when we go to school and there's a fire alarm, everybody doesn't go crazy when the fire alarm goes off, because, you know, the alarm goes off, we know exactly what to do as a kid in the school. You line up and you go outside, and nobody's panicking. That's the same thing here, all right? Once you hear that something is going on, all right, you will know exactly how to react. Find out where the bathrooms are, find out where the exits are. You don't have to drive yourself crazy going through the mall saying, oh my God, what if this happens and that happens. Just be aware of your surroundings, that's all. And say, hey, you know, if somebody started shooting right now, I'd go behind this bench over here. I'd go behind this this big plant or something like that. Something that's going to conceal yourself from the shooter, all right? And that's very, very important. You'll feel a lot better too, believe it or not, and you won't panic. So try and do that. You know, you got to remember, preparedness and awareness is key to your survival, all right? You will significantly reduce your chances of getting hurt when something like this happens. Now, I also have a link directly under this this video here. I was on Fox News a couple months ago talking about how to react to an active shooter incident at your workplace. Take a look at that. You know, see what it does for you. There's a lot of good hints there. And I'm also available for lectures. I also develop active shooter programs for businesses and schools and for hotels. So if you need anything like that, send me an email. And I hope you got something out of this. I hope that the next time you go to the mall, you'll start becoming aware of your surroundings and play a little game with yourself and your kids on what to do exactly when something like this occurs. All right. You can also go into the Department of Homeland Security has a website for active shooter incidents, and you go in there and they talk about some of the same things. But I come up with a couple of my own tactics. I like to go to different locations and come up with different tactics on how people can, help themselves. All right. So that's it for now. I'll see you next time.